Welcome to the Mayhem. Dick and Loy Mayhem. Media Mayhem. Marketing a Mayhem. You might love it, you might hate it. It's my favorite freaking show. All right, that sounds good. I like that. This is Loy Edge. We're here with the Dick and Loy's Media Marketing Mayhem podcast. And today we're going to do something different because today it's the Dick Wilson Show. I'm going to interview my charming co-host, the fascinating, young, lovely Dick Wilson.
He hasn't arrived yet. He's still out in the limo. Okay.
Dick, let's find out a little bit more about Dick Wilson. I sit over here with you and we interview people, but I don't know a lot about the real Dick Wilson. I mean, I haven't delved deeply into the background of Dick.
Well, I have lived here all my life in this city. Up in the Northland, went to Maplewood Elementary School, down to Maple Park Junior High, where I was student council president. Went to high school at North Kansas City High, and it was there that I discovered that I wanted to do radio and TV.
Wow, I'm so glad you didn't get into politics instead.
No, I didn't.
Being the president and all.
No.
And then you went, then where? What did you do then?
Well, I went down to college at Warrensburg and went down there. But
did you work on that radio station?
I did, but it got started, and interest got started back in high school when I was doing some announcing at one of the events in the gymnasium, you know.
Oh,
and
over the PA? You heard that voice, those golden pipes ringing out through the auditorium.
That's right. And Gus Limecooler, the librarian, his wife was there, and she mentioned to him, hey, he has a nice voice. Maybe he should look into broadcasting. And he passed that along to me, and I said, well, that's not a bad idea.
So Gus Limecooler's wife is responsible for this.
Along the way, yeah.
Then the next...
Now, later in my senior year, I ran for the Chamber of Commerce of Kansas City. Used to have a thing where students took over the mayorship and all the positions in the city for a day.
Wow.
And I ran for mayor of Kansas City with 5 other people from high schools around the area.
Holy cow. Well, they need to do that again.
That was kind of a neat deal.
Kind of on a permanent basis.
Yeah. So we had the thing. We went on some radio stations, went on the Walt Bodine show.
Oh, yeah.
Went on some of the TV stations. I got to see the backgrounds of what was going on. I kind of really got interested in it at that point. Now, the outcome of the election, I didn't get mayor, but I got city manager, which was just as powerful. And I was up on the top floor just like the mayor was.
No kidding.
Rode to lunch with Clarence Kelly in his car, doing that day. So it was kind of a neat experience. I don't know why they don't do that anymore.
Well, maybe they do, and we're just not invited.
Maybe that's it.
So you knew right away, huh?
So that's when I saw the background of things at work and really liked it. So
I've heard a lot of guys that got into broadcast knew very early on, and it just rang their bell, and they just stayed with it. And you were on the air for
46 years.
46
before
years.
my jersey was retired. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So
same organization under several different names.
A couple of different ownerships, but did get out of high school, went down to Warrensburg, as we said, and I did work for the station in the campus there. It was KCPW. It's still 90.9, what that is today, the bridge.
Yeah, it's really an interesting station now.
Yeah, it was only 10 watts back then, so if you turned your back on it on the campus, you couldn't hear it. And I had this story the first time I went in, did a newscast, a 5-minute newscast, and really hadn't talked that long out loud in a broadcast manner. Kind of ran out of news before I was done, so I was reaching down in the trash can, pulling out old news stories and reading them on the air just to fill the time.
Well, improv's an important thing. You got to wing it, don't you, Dick?
You really do. You really do.
So do you have any of those air checks from those days?
I'll have to think if I do. What I may have is I worked up here in town one summer at KBIL 1140 AM out in Liberty area, kind of the first job. But then I got a job at KOKO, the station that's in Warrensburg.
Oh, really?
City, Warrensburg, 1450 KOKO. So worked out there, got up in the morning early and did the morning show at KOKO and went to college ended up getting an interesting entrance into the broadcasting scene here in Kansas City by mistake.
Do tell.
Came up one day, went to KCMO. They're on 31st Street under the tall tower.
That's right.
Went in the front door, said to the lady there, "I'm here from Central Missouri State, and I'd like to look into an internship." Well, she misunderstood me and thought I said I was here from a senator and wanted an internship. And 5 minutes later, I was from the lobby up into the office of E.K. Hartenbauer, the vice president and general manager of Meredith Broadcasting. And so he realized there'd been a mistake in bringing me upstairs.
He said, "I thought you were with our overlords."
That's right, yes. But he was nice enough to talk to me, what I wanted to do, and about 2 weeks later, I got a call from the station saying, "Hey, would you like to work in the mailroom this summer?"
Wow.
And so I started in the mailroom, got to know everybody at KCMO, up and down, and that ended up turning into a weekend job on KCMO AM while I was still in college. So.
Now, do you remember any of the personalities you met at KCMO under the tall tower back then?
Dick Guthrie.
Oh, yeah.
Larry Dunbar, Mike Shannon, the Ruckus guy.
Sure.
All good
Mike's
friends
still
from those
doing it?
days. Yeah, I was in the mailroom with Scotty Nelson, who was a country singer back in the 40s when live radio was going on, and he was still hanging around there. So kind of got to chat with him about that era also. So that was
Holy
kind of fun.
cow.
So yeah, it was a good deal.
Live music broadcasting like Coon Sanders.
There you go. Yeah, exactly. So I graduated from college, went into the National Guard. That was the time of period where you went into the National Guard was one of your decisions. So went off for a couple of months down to Fort Sill and Fort Campbell and those kind of things.
So it was the American side.
It was the American side. I went
good.
with. Yeah.
Good.
That was an early decision I'd made. When I got back, I went back to KCMO. No, they didn't have a place at that point, talking to Lynn Higby, the program director at that time. But he did send me over to WDAF where Jack Elliott was there, and they gave me a job there as music director, weekend announcer. That would have been in probably 1971. So I started the official count of the career in 71 there.
Wow.
Full time.
So now how did you get into the role of music director? Did you have a lot of experience in that, or was it just because it was a weekend thing and they said he can do it?
Well, that was during the week, the regular 9 to 5 job.
The week.
And then I did a weekend shift on the air.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah. Wasn't too tough of a job organizing the music back then. It was easy listening, a lot of Barbra Streisand and things like that back in those days. So that wasn't too bad. Matter of fact, I was kind of a rebel. I talked him into playing Yes Roundabout on a Barbra Streisand station. So that was some of the pull that I had back then. But anyway, that was the deal. Now, after getting started there, ended up going and being one of the early airborne traffic reporters.
Oh, my God.
Even before John, what's his name? Wagner.
John Wagner, Sky Spy.
That's right.
Standing by.
I was the original
guy. Were you in a fixed
guy.
wing or a helicopter?
I was in a fixed wing, flew out of Wilson Aviation over in Fairfax, and old Al Wilson would take me up and fly me around in the morning and the afternoon. I was taking pilot's lessons at that time, so I knew kind of how the plane worked. And every now and then, old Al would fall asleep while we were up in the air, so I'd have to kind of straighten things up with the plane a little bit and make sure it worked okay. I was Commander Dick.
Really?
That was the name, yes.
Wow.
There's even some
If you don't
ads
mind,
flying
I'd like
around.
to refer to you that way now every once in a while.
That'd be okay, yeah.
I mean, when we're
Sure.
doing cosplay.
Gotcha.
61 WDAF.
Spy standing by.
Hey, I had a question for you, Commander Dick. It was posed by a listener. Knowing that you're a single person, they wanted to know if you were really a swinger and you wore your cap at a jaunty angle while you fly.
But I wear my earphones at a jaunty angle.
But anyway, that was interesting. Worked with Tom Hopkins on the air, Skinny Bobby Harper, those kind of guys. But
Sure.
But it came 1974. Got married to my wife, Patty, still married to my first wife. In 1974, early on, they decided to take WDAF FM to a live radio station. It was recorded up to that point, playing popular hits and things like that.
Yes,
And
I
so
think I know this story. This was a big monumental change.
Ross Reagan was there, and he decided to take the FM live, and so he said, well, you got your choice. You can stay with one speaker or two speakers. So instead of AM, I went with FM, and that was the birth of KY 102
Wow.
in 1974.
And we had a show not too long ago and all the original on-air crew is surviving, and they were all there.
The first day. First day.
First
people
day.
On our list of podcasts.
And what was that first song you played?
Too Many People, Paul McCartney. There was no apparent reason. I've made reasons up since then, but it was just a song I liked from the album at that time. So grabbed it at 5 a.m. and put it on the radio.
And
Max
you were the
Floyd
first
was there.
voice on
I was, yes.
102, 5 a.m.
Max Floyd was the program director, and Ron Voss, the general manager, things like that, and the history went on from there. Now, worked alone for about a year. Jay Cooper was the promotions director in the office, and we decided to add news to the morning show, so Jay became our newsreader. So he would come in and read the news, and then we'd horse around a little bit, and it finally degenerated into what became Dick and Jay.
Oh, yes, the big #1 show for many years.
Well, it was among, if not the first morning team on FM in the country. Because up to that point, everything was underground, soft talkers, low talkers,
this is
smoking
Clyde
the pot.
Clifford with Bleecker Street.
There you go, that kind of stuff. We turned the whole thing around and add more personality to it, and so that's kind of what it became.
So that was it. So you guys were the originators of that morning FM banter and comedy shtick, and
we're saying we were. I don't know of any that were around at that time. There were AM people, Loman and Barkley in Los Angeles, and different people on AM that were doubling up. But as far as FM, I think we were the first. Lee Abrams was our consultant, and he took the idea across the country kind of from there, because it was working pretty good for us.
Well, we'll put out a challenge right now to all the Dick and Loy's Media Marketing Mayhem listeners.
There you go. Okay.
If they want to contest that, they're welcome to. We'll give them some airtime to come on and rant.
Good. Some highly edited airtime for you. Yes.
So, wow. So Dick and Jay was maybe the biggest deal in town. That was a long run. Very successful, very popular couple of guys, and you got into some really fun things on that show, didn't you?
Well, we did.
Really
I try to think of the things that people bring up to me. Some of it I remember, some I don't remember that we did. But we used to fake broadcasts from different locations just while we were sitting in the studio. One time we faked that we were up in New York City in Central Park.
Well, Dick and Jay in Central Park, just kind of ending up the day for us.
About time to wrap things up again,
Been a fun time. We had a lot of guests here. Bianca Jagger was here. Reggie Jackson stopped by this morning to see us here in New York. Just all sorts of people.
I want to thank the Essex Hotel for putting us up there for a while.
And I don't want to thank them for putting us out, though.
No,
And having to finish the show on the street.
So you're going to head back to KC, huh?
Yeah, I got to get back so I can do the ring announcements tonight. Tony's fight.
Well, I think I'll go with the game up here for a while.
All right. Well, we're sitting here in the Sheep Meadow area and busy.
What's that?
What's the matter?
Yeah.
Who are you talking?
Here. The fellow passed me a note.
Hey, what's this?
Please hand me your billfold and watch and any other jewelry you have.
What? What?
And
Hey, this isn't happening to us, is it?
you want?
What's the matter? Well, I don't know what's going on, but this is Dick
want
and Jay
these?
in New York City.
These microphones too. You want? Well, no, we have to keep these.
No, we got to.
Another time we went to Sedalia, took the multi-million-dollar media van to Sedalia for a broadcast.
Sedville, Missouri.
Yes, and sounded a little like this.
And then on the outside, if you're looking for us this morning here in Sedalia, there is, of course, the larger-than-life drawings of Dick and Jay on the outside of the actual motorhome, and with our personal phone numbers on it and freelance information. And stuff like that, so it's kind of a nice deal. Had a lot of nice people stop by today.
Yeah.
Hi, folks. How you doing?
You
Yeah,
want
that's
to
your
kiss
kid?
that baby?
Yeah.
Why don't you
Well,
kiss?
bring him on up here.
Yeah, go kiss
Yeah.
that baby. I always enjoy this because Dick does a really good job kissing babies.
And how old is your baby?
16, huh?
16. Well, okay. Miss, you want to come on in here? Yeah. All right. Yeah. All right.
It was always interesting, you know.
Yeah, that's all right.
Yeah.
Are you
Okay, now if everybody's real quiet, you'll be able to hear this. Yeah, there we go. Another first for Sedalia, Missouri.
Was that good for you, too? Great.
Okay.
Okay, well, thanks for stopping by. Yeah. Yeah, here's a free, wait a minute.
You got a free album back there?
Yeah, here's Norman Luboff, the choir. Okay, there you go.
You actually gave away the Norman Luboff album.
Well, I know.
We're trying to move that for about a year.
Nice. Now, once again, you folks in Kansas City, don't feel like you cannot call us. We do have the phones microwave down here to Sedalia.
Okay, now
once again, it is a
special number.
5767102.
Right.
So just give us a call, and we'll take care of your questions.
So that kind of horse around stuff, yeah.
Love that.
Probably what's brought up more than anything was the Marilyn Chambers visit. Marilyn was a porn star back then.
Yeah, I think. Well, I'm aware of that.
Yes,
and I think like everyone else, I paid attention to that.
Yeah,
it was fast. Something about that porn star coming in to see our local celebrities. And the imagination, the theater of the mind on that one was pretty active, I'd say.
Well, there was, and there wasn't a lot of imagination to it. It was all pretty true, all real. She must have been in town promoting one of her latest releases at either the Old Chelsea or what was the place down on Main Street?
The Dove?
The Dove Theater, probably at the Doves where the thing was going on. So Jay didn't know this was going to happen. They had contacted me and wanted to know if we wanted to do an interview with her. She was going around the country doing some interviews. And I said, well, yeah, that might be fun. So she came in. She had a sarong on. Her husband was with her. And we interviewed her a little bit in the studio. And then she stood up and just dropped her sarong and was totally naked. Jay was speechless for the next 5 minutes.
Was he?
He had no idea that was going to happen.
So he didn't deal with that well, huh?
Well, he did pretty good. She ended up doing a little, sitting on his knee a little bit and that kind of thing. And there are some pictures floating out around there of the event that went on in the studio. But the interesting thing was, after a while, it was just business as usual. She was up walking around naked, talking to her husband about what they had and where they had to go next. And Jay and I were on the air. He was doing the news and things like that. So it was kind of unreal.
Did you guys get so relaxed that you kind of joined in on the fun? And
I believe we took our shirts off and had some photos taken.
Okay.
And that's as far as we went.
Oh, wow.
So the Marilyn Chambers story, yeah, that was true, and that was out there. So quite a deal.
That's a good one. And then
a lot of celebrities, of course, came by. John Anderson from Yes used to come in every time he was in town. He would send us postcards from around the world when Yes was touring around, and lead singer from there. Todd Rundgren came in one time, and the big story about Todd was he didn't talk a whole lot. He mostly sat over in the corner and made out with a groupie that he'd brought in with him in the studio.
Well, I'd heard some stories about him being an unusual guest.
Yes, yeah, he certainly was.
Did you have others coming in to promote their records, or, I mean, it was kind of a bigger deal in those days. The personalities and the power that a station like 102 had over record sales. I mean, it was.
Oh, yeah, yeah. There were always people dropping by. I remember Carl Wilson of the Beach Boys had a solo album. He would drop by the studio one time, and there were a number of people. Mostly I've forgotten them for the most part, but a number of people stopped by to promote different things throughout that area because there was so much going on with the radio station. At one point, we had this idea, well, let's do a live show in front of an audience. And so
what could go wrong?
We put it together. What could go wrong? We put it together, and it became Live at the Bijou on Friday mornings.
Oh, sure.
And we would have about 100, I don't know what that sat in there, but it was at least 100, 150 kids skipping school on Friday down there as the audience for the most part. We were on stage live doing the broadcast, had the announcer, Tom Hopkins was the announcer. Oh, here's a little of what it sounded like.
September 19th, and from Westport, it's Dick and Jay live at the Bijou. Be listening this morning for lots of expensive guests, some good old rock and roll, and 102 freewheeling breakfast eaters in the audience. And now, at least until we can find a couple of really good hosts, here's Dick and Jay.
Okay, I think I think the
just like
applause.
Merv Griffin,
yeah, really.
don't you?
I think the applause practice worked.
That's great.
Worked
That
all right.
pre-recorded
Yeah.
applause record that we have back at the station really sounds good at this time of the morning.
Well, it's 6:06. We're both on the job this morning.
This is the first time. Now, what time did you get here?
I got here an hour and a half ago.
I tried to be as late as I could. I got here
came
about
real
10
close,
till.
yeah. But actually, in order to get us both on the job at the same time, on time, we had to get out of the studio. So we're in Westport, live at the Bijou.
This is probably the most extensive that we have done to try to get a free breakfast.
That's right. We've tried literally for 5 years now. We've tried to get free breakfast set up. So now the corner restaurant is going to take care of us for Fridays, okay? So we have to come down here to get it, though.
Now, I'm real surprised at this many people down here so far. We're about
okay. They've been up all night.
Filled right now, and most people in the audience here. Let's kind of on the count of three yell out exactly where you're from here this morning.
Does that include us?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Ready?
All right. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Yeah.
Okay, one school's missing.
Pretty good offering, thanks.
Carol Comer was on stage. Carol Comer had her jazz band and played the live music bumpers for us and things like that. It was an interesting show. John Cougar Mellencamp was on stage with us one morning, and we were driving not golfers. We had golf clubs, and we were driving marshmallows off into the crowd, which probably would have been a lawsuit of some sort now.
Yeah. Now was he a handful?
I don't remember too much about his character back then, but I've heard that he's maybe a tough interview from time to time. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he gets a little cranky, I think. Wow, so you were driving marshmallows off the roof of the Bijou.
Off the stage.
Oh,
into
off the
crowd.
stage, into the crowd.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Mm-hmm. All right. I love that. Westport was fun in those days. Yeah. Wild Willie Westport. You guys eventually moved down there, didn't you? The radio station?
We did. We were, of course, on Signal Hill when we first started, but there's a lot of mileage in between the move down to Westport until we get there. It was back in 1981. Jay left the station, and I hooked up with Max Floyd, who was doing the afternoons, and Max and I did a morning show called The A-Team with Frankie.
Sure.
The Frankie that was our remarkable mouth lady, and she had a great history with the station also. Did that for a while, and then got the call that Ed Mascari was leaving All Night Live on Channel 41.
Yeah, he put down the banana phone for good there.
He got the cat adopted in Tulsa and put down the banana phone, threw everything he owned in his car, and left town. Mm-hmm. So I got the call to be one of the people to try out for that, and which I auditioned for it and ended up getting the job. Dan Wheatcroft was at KSHB at that time. His name will come up again here in a little bit. But yeah, that was a couple of years, 84 to 86, doing the all-night show. Got in, went on live at 11 p.m. at night till 6 in the morning. But we were only there from about 11 p.m. to 1:30 because then we would record the rest of the things that ran throughout the rest of the night.
Running the old movies and
the old movies, the old TV shows, Alfred Hitchcock, Lost in Space. But then it was the stuff that we did around it that was different, so different than television today. Today, television is all news. Or if there's anything that's not news, it's those morning shows where the sponsors pay to be on, to be interviewed and that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
and
it's all prepackaged
There's nothing really, there's no really plain out fun on TV anymore.
Well, can we listen to some of that? You got some...
Let me see. Let me see what I can find here.
$50? You're on the show.
Yeah. Dick Wilson is Kansas City's only late-night on-the-air managing editor.
Let's do this.
He really knows how to use his people.
Hey, Dick, where's that $5 you owe me?
Keep your voting coming, okay? And we'll decide very quickly on who the winner of the All Night Live Blast Bikini Contest is.
Welcome to the All Night Live Balance the Budget Telethon. Tonight, in a mere 3.5 hours, we, the generous and patriotic citizens of Heartland, USA, will attempt to rid our great nation of its $1.849 trillion federal debt.
A couple more letters here on Ask Rodney. TM writes in from St. Joseph, Missouri. Dear Ask Rodney, some of the things that these people know, I don't know how you know all this stuff. Do birds mate in the air or on the ground?
I don't think they do at all because they don't have laps. Their knees are backwards, you know?
And some of you wonder, what do we do all night? while the shows are going, when we're watching most of the time, of course, but sometimes we are, having a little bit of fun. And here in the Olympic season, of course, having a little bit of competitive spirit. Now, we have kind of a little bet going on here amongst the crew as to which one of these two chairs, rolling chairs, rolls the farthest.
There are two things I've learned about life. Number one, when the camera hits you, turn on the charm. And number two, be able to handle 12 foot of pipe.
All night live! When you're all alone and it's late at night, who you gonna watch? All night live!
But we did stuff like every Friday night we had the impromptu band where each night, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, each night I would look for a different player. Monday, let's find the lead guitarist. Call me if you want to play. So we would put the whole band together. Put the whole band together on Friday night, and they'd come in and play Louie Louie or something they could all play.
That's great.
So had that kind of fun. Yeah, Gloria, that was good. We had a little game we played called Trivial Pie Suit, where I would be the L.A. kind of fast-talking, unbuttoned down to the waist game show host.
I remember this one.
Wink Paddington.
Wink Paddington
was the name that we used. And we would bring people in from the audience, and we would put trash bags on them.
Uh-huh.
And then we would ask them trivia questions about Kansas City. And if they got it wrong, we'd put a cream pie in their face.
Love it.
Casey Trivial Pie Suit.
Good morning and welcome to Casey's fastest growing game show, KC Trivial Pie Suit. We're here because we feel there is a great community need to see people get hit in the face with pies. Our host is here because he is ripping and clawing his way up the ladder of success towards Hollywood and the ultimate game show host job, vacation relief on Wheel of Fortune. And now, here he is, the man who once filled Betty Davis's car with gas, Wink Paddington.
Oh, hello, how you doing? Welcome to KC Trivial Pie Suit. Love to have you there in the audience today, and we're excited about our show tonight because we've got 3 lucky contestants vying for $4.10 in cash. Plus, we also have a very special event tonight. For the first time ever, after many, many letters and years of trying, we have our own celebrity pie man. Come on out here, Graham Nash. Come out here from Crosby, Stills, and Nash. Here he is right here. How's the old arm feel tonight, Graham? Huh?
Feel it.
Oh, my God, that's quite a muscle. All right, well, Wink loves having you here because Wink likes to hang out with the stars. You know what I mean? Okay, Graham Nash.
Hollywood.
Hey, thanks a lot there, Graham. We're ready to go. Okay, let's meet these people who have come on here tonight. First off, let's bring our first contestant out here. Mr. Lynch, come out this way and tell us, Connie, about this person right here, okay?
Contestant number 1, Wink, is in the running for the Space Shuttle program, where they will put a person with a low IQ on the ship and see if he knows how to use the space potty. Here's Tim Lynch.
All right, Tim, great deal.
Contestant number 2 is the lovely and talented female who posed for the bare-bottom suntan oil ads of the early 60s. She stands now as a true testament of what tanning can do to you in later years. Contestant number 3 is the guy who has the funniest name that we could find for the show tonight. Say hello to Tim Poole.
All right, Tim, thank you. Get right up there and slip into your custom-fit garb there. All right, let's take a look while these people are getting ready at the rules of Kansas City Trivial Pie Suit. Take a look right here, okay? And there they are for you right there real quick as we get ready to go here. Tim, all right, get it right. Yeah, this is custom fit for you earlier from some sizes you called in to us here. Graham, come on over here just a minute now. Have you ever put a pie in anybody's face before? Huh?
I don't go to bed at night without throwing pies in at least 2 faces.
Oh, good. All right, I knew we had a good man ready to go here. Our lovely pie lady is going to help you here, and if you'll keep your hands off the pie lady and just touch the pie, that's all we ask
I
here.
just like the combination of her and whipped cream.
Isn't that nice? Yeah. We'll talk about that on one of our other shows later. All right. Well, fill that up there, Graham. Grab a pie, and let me get over here to the place where we ask the questions. All right. Here we go. Here it is right here. All right. Where were Mormon founder Joseph Smith and other Mormon leaders confined?
Independence.
No, the Liberty Jail. Oh! There you go. All right. Put that on your Crosby, Stills, and Nash album, Tim. Graham Nash, thank you very much for being our celebrity pie man
My
here.
pleasure.
All right, stick around. I understand the host of the show wants to talk to you in a little while, okay? All right, I don't care for the guy myself. Well, we'll get back to the Three Stooges episode here in just a minute on All Night Live. Graham, thank you for coming on tonight.
Thank you.
We appreciate you coming on Kansas City Trivial Pie Suit, and because you're here in town.
That Wink guy, unbelievable. He's going to make it.
You think so?
Oh, man, he's got the talent.
I don't care for the guy myself. He's a little too avant-garde for me. But
well, he's very avant-garde.
Yeah, I guess he's kind of West Coast-ish.
Hey, that's what's going to make it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I know that the Kansas City Trivial Pie Suit flew you in here to be a celebrity pie man, and we thought while we have you here in town, we'll let you do a show. You got your buddies with you?
Oh, yeah, I got a couple of them with me, too.
Yeah. What night be good for you?
Tomorrow night, maybe.
Tomorrow night?
Yeah, out at Sandstone.
Sandstone's a great place.
It
out
is.
There. You ever played out there before?
Have you got a hold on the hall tomorrow?
I think we can work it out. I know a couple people out there. That,
maybe Wink can know someone.
Wink probably knows somebody out there. Sure. So we'll look for Crosby, Stills, and Nash. Of course, Crosby and Stills are not here, so we'll call it Nash, Crosby, and Stills for tonight.
Why not?
Okay.
Why not?
All right.
It's a good idea. In fact, I recommend that we change it on the albums, too.
I think it's good idea. Good time to...
And then one other thing, we had drive-in talent night. We would open the garage door on the side of the studio, and people would drive into the driveway and do talent in their car.
Oh, man. Love that.
We had people coming by with a guitar, sitting in the car. We had one guy came by one night that had just had a tattoo and was still bleeding, wanted to show us.
Wow.
That kind of TV doesn't exist anymore.
That's great local television.
Yep.
I mean... You must have had a great time with that.
I'm not even sure people would even understand it putting it on anymore, but it was a good time. And that all went away when KSHB, if my memory's correct, went to the Fox network or whatever the network they joined and realized that they didn't want to pay for a crew to be there at night. Dennis Allen, actually, the guy from lived here locally, Dennis Allen, who was on Laugh-In and things, he took over after I finished, and...
he
did it for a couple years.
Sack face.
He did.
Very.
Used to ride the tricycle around with a raincoat on Laugh-In and tip over and those kind of things. He was a great guy, good friend. He passed away. Ed Mascari's gone. I am the last remaining alive All Night Live host in the city.
That is right. Ed passed away a few years ago. He had a very interesting final decade or so. And so Dennis Allen, and then the show went away, and that was the end of that local
program. That was the end of local. They kept the AM live station around for a while because the crew was already there during the daytime. But it was a good time in TV, and it's gone, and you can see some things on the internet still from that left over, so that's cool.
I still watch reruns of, Fred Brodsky with Bowling for Dollars.
I'll bet you do, yes, yeah.
Marathon.
Bowling with Molin, if you want to go back even farther.
Yep.
After All Night Live, I had the opportunity. I pitched him on a half-hour primetime show called Casey Prime.
Oh, yeah.
It's Dick Wilson's KC Prime with tonight's guest Ida Macbeth, Dick Brown, Dale Bronson, Julie Lux, plus a Kansas City Explorer takes you somewhere you've never been before. So come with us now as we enter the basement office of KC Prime.
No, Dick's not in the office yet. The show just started and he's out fulfilling one of his fantasies. You know, the one where a boy from up north tries to sing the blues. Sure, I'll tell him you called.
Pothole Blues. Have you heard the news? Boy, there's no turning back now. We're up and going. Yeah, who was that guy, announcer in the open?
Solowitz.
We paying him anything? I love him then. Great. Hey, any phone calls?
Oh, yeah. Let's see. The vending company called, and they will refund you the $375 you lost in the candy machine last night.
Great.
And the Midtown Community Dancers would like you to do an interpretive dance depicting the developments of the Sailors Project.
Yeah.
And the people are here.
What? Hey, hi, how are you? Come here, come with me a minute. Goodness. Gosh, it's good to see you. You know, I haven't seen some of you, my old friends, here in a while, but it's good to see you, and some new people out there, too. Hey, okay, my name is Dick Wilson, and this is KC Prime. Okay? Well, actually, this isn't KC Prime. This is the little area where we come when you and I need to chat. That office over there is the production office of KC Prime. All we want to do is have a good time for a half hour and show you some of the prime musical and theatrical people here in the Kansas City area. Okay? If you like what you see, let us know. You know, back to
So I did about 4 episodes of that through the next year, where we had some guests on. I went around and explored things around the city. I went up into the top of the Power and Light building and explored up there inside the glass area.
Upon entering this room, you feel like you've stepped into a small church of some sort. I wonder if anyone's ever thought of getting married up here. The room itself is only 20 by 20 feet. The prismed and leaded glass splashes colors on the opposite walls and also gives a very distorted look at the city below.
Took cameras down below some of the fountains of Kansas City to see what was going on underneath the fountains.
Under the fountains.
Yeah. So I still got that show. I need to get it up on the internet. There were about 4 episodes. It was a fun show. So.
And you produced that one yourself?
I did. Yeah. Yes. And we shot it through there. Oh, there is one other show I forgot from the Dick and Jay period. We did our own half-hour TV show one time with KSHB. And that ran about 1980 or so, something like that. I think you can catch some things on YouTube on that show. The famous scene from that was our rescue of people off of a stalled escalator downtown in the City Center Square building.
Really enjoyed that. Hey, look at this. Well, there are 10 people stranded on a stalled escalator downtown. I think that Acme Rescue can handle this one. All right, I'll go give them a call. Okay. Acme Rescue.
Acme, we got a job for you.
Yeah, what do you got?
All right, are you sitting down?
Yeah.
Okay, now here's what's happening. We've got 10 people stranded on a stalled escalator downtown. Can you handle it?
Yeah, we can take it.
Great. Very good.
Let's go.
We were the rescue squad and came in and rescued them.
Yes. And you know, when that happens, there's no way out.
No way out.
Have a professional.
No way to get out of there. Be careful. You need the ropes and the people with helmets to help you out of there.
Well, Dick, one of the things a lot of people remember about the Dick and Jay era is the Dick and Jay Cruiser.
Yeah, there's still pictures floating around of that. That was a 61 Cadillac that we got on the air and whined about that we needed a vehicle. Other stations had vehicles and vans, and we didn't have anything. So we ended up buying for $100 a 61 Cadillac.
Well, it was a beauty. And
it
you
was
used that to do your, well, mainly I guess it was a moving billboard for this.
Well, it kind of became that. We were driving that around the city, and on the air we were whining for people to help us fix it up so it'd be cool. And so people donated chrome reverse wheels to us. They cut the roof off and made it a convertible if needed to be. We had scoops put on the front hood, and we would drive around town. We had Dick and Jay spray painted on the side of it, and we would let people sign it with pens.
Oh, wow.
With markers. So there were signatures all over the thing.
Well, you could have taken that thing to A&W Root Beer and parked on the hot side and backed in.
Probably could have. A couple of times we got in trouble with cruising. We had a big cruise out on Nolan Road in Independence one night. Carcraft Magazine was in town doing an interview and a spread on great cruise spots across the nation. And Nolan Road was included in that. So we had about 3,000 or 4,000 people lined up along the road and kind of just totally trashed the place the next morning when I was driving to work and saw what had happened.
Just another contribution you've made to society.
Just what we've done, yeah. They were in Kansas City, Kansas. We went over there, too, at Peter's Drive-In. I think it made an appearance over there, too.
I remember that was a deal for a while. That was the big fear was this cruising epidemic.
That's right. Yes.
And this must stop. And
yes.
Then they went on to other things. I forget what.
One memory I have about the cruiser was that it would never start. We kept it in a rental garage space over at Shamrock Storage.
Just keep it running all the time?
We probably should have. But anytime we went over to get it, we had to jump start it to get it started. So anyway, that was kind of, it wasn't among the best in the quality driving time.
It sounds like 102 saved a lot of money in those days. Were they a little close with the coin?
I think like radio, they didn't ever spend any money on anything. even to today.
Wow.
So,
no wonder it was hard to get groupies.
There you
Get
go.
a 61 Cadillac.
You know, we ended up burying that as a time capsule at Worlds of Fun.
You're kidding. It's in the ground now?
At least that's what people think.
Okay.
In
good
reality,
enough.
they cut the back of it off, sent the rest of it to a Liberty car dump place, and just put the back bumper in the ground, peeking out back in the back where the train goes back around the western area in the back end. And it was there for a number of years before some other management didn't understand it and took
Didn't
it out.
understand that.
Yeah.
Took that sacred site and probably plowed over some Indian burial grounds.
Kind of
too.
wish I had that,
Mounds.
the back end of that car.
Well, you know, if the front part is still in Liberty in a junkyard, someone out there, some industrious people might be able to go on a treasure hunt.
It's very marked up. You'll notice if you see it.
A lot of signatures on there.
You'll know it if you see it. So anyway, that was the deal. After we did the Casey Prime show, got a call from Dean Hallam. Gannett was coming to town to buy radio stations.
Yeah.
And Dean had been after me for years to come and work for him at a radio station. He was at KUDL at the time.
He was a program director.
Program director, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You know, I was doing this freelance stuff, doing the Jones Store spots and Worlds of Fun spots and those kind of things. And he finally called again and said, hey, you want to? We'd love to have to talk to you about working on the air. So this was 1986. So met him downtown in a hotel space in the lobby of the Marriott, he and Don Trout, the manager, and they talked about wanting to have me come and work, and I shot them a figure I thought they'd never accept, and they did. And so for the next 34 some odd years, I was working at 94.9.
Wow.
As it went through its different eras. So
you did your show with several different music formats going on. It was it was Oldies 95. I mean, I think it was Power 95.
Started out
first.
as Power 95, top 40 station.
Hey Wilson, you're Casey's favorite dick.
Morning, Power 95. It's the dirty joke of the daytime.
That's a no-no.
Our powerful question this morning, when you hang your toilet paper, do you hang it with the flap going over or under?
You gotta put the paper from the bottom.
or give me death!
Henry Bergdorf Bloomingdale, my butler, has joined us this morning with our daily charge. Henry, what is it, please?
Without inner peace, it is impossible to have world peace.
We'd like to run some sounds down the line to you and just see if you can identify the type of plane by the sound of the plane. All right, sir?
Okay.
All right, here comes the first one right now.
Sounds like an ultralight or something, two-stroke.
I'm killing you! Stop it. This is Dick Wilson. You know what FO stands for.
And then it was Oldies 95.
Well, I went in and one Friday afternoon and picked up a bonus check for being number one, 18 to 34 or whatever it was, and they told me, hey, tomorrow we're going to change to Oldies format. And so I knew kind of before that was going to happen that it was going to happen. But it was the thing at the time. KUDL was teasing about doing it, and it was the new old format that was picking up some steam, and that was playing 50s and 60s and early 70s songs. So we jumped on the bandwagon and got that done. Matter of fact, on a Friday afternoon, Charlie Knight, who was one of our evening guys, was doing a remote at a car dealership. When he started, it was Power 95. When he ended, we were Oldies 95. So right in the middle of his shift, we switched to Oldies.
Wake up, Kansas City. It's time for Dick Wilson and Company on Oldies 95. Here comes Katie McGuckin with the news. Major Miles with traffic. And roving funster, the wild one, Terry Wilder. And now, the leader of the pack, Dick Wilson.
Wow.
Well, let me
You
talk
about a shift change.
Let me talk about Power 95 because that was the last of the. Gannett Broadcasting was a proponent of big morning shows. Rick Dees was out in Los Angeles with the company, and he had a bunch of people on with him. And so I started building a morning show back then that was multiple people. So we had some great people on, and I know that you introduced me to Jerry Seymour, who became Henry Bergdorf Bloomingdale, my valet.
That's right. Jerry Seymour, Gerard B.A. Seymour.
I think I have some of him.
Oh, yeah, he has a great voice. Let's listen to some Jerry.
5 Music Power 95, Henry Bergdorf Bloomingdale with our daily charge.
When people wrestle with their conscience, it's a sure bet that their conscience will lose.
All right, Henry, put your T-shirt back down and quit reading your tattoos on the air.
Okay.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, that brings back great memories. That he was a good guy. I really miss Jerry.
Yep. Katie McGuckin was on with me. We got Katie going. We have another podcast with Katie. You can find out a bunch of stuff about her on our podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember Andy Spinozzi?
Yeah, I
Little
do.
Andy Spinozzi. He was our producer and a great creative guy.
Yeah, he was.
Let me play you some of the things that Andy did for us.
Great.
All right, you lame brains, get up out of bed.
Okay, all right.
I said get up, you lame brains. Come on, get dressed. We got a lot of work to do. It's 7 o'clock.
Hey, Mo, let's get on the radio and listen to Dick Wilson, huh? Yeah.
Dick Wilson, huh?
Yeah.
Hey, did you ever see a Wilson?
No. Hey, why don't you leave him alone?
Ah, leave him alone, huh?
That's what I said.
I'll leave him alone. Now turn on the radio.
Hey, Wilson, you're Casey's favorite dick.
Just look at this 27-bedroom villa Spanish-style mansion overlooking the beautiful cliffside Pacific Ocean. Hello, I'm Rodney Leach, and welcome to Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous. Today, we'll take a journey to the house of nighttime soap star Joan Collins and find out how she elaborates her setting in this sexy cliffside manor.
Hey, did you hear that Wendy's in the hospital? I know. She's going to have some surgery. You're kidding. Gosh, I hope she'll be okay. Uh-oh. Shh, here's Bob.
Hey, I heard Wendy was going to be in the hospital. What's the matter with her?
Sorry, we can't tell you that. It's a...
Female thing.
Ladies, how many times have you been in an awkward situation like the one you just heard? Guys just don't seem to realize that there are some things girls can't discuss with them because they just wouldn't understand.
So anyway, I get this bill in the mail that's ungodly. She's been in the doctor's office 4 times, and every time I ask her what's wrong with her, she won't tell me. So please, Doc, what's the matter with her?
I'm sorry, Mr. Curtis, but I can't divulge that information. And anyway, it's a little hard to explain. You see, it's a...
Female thing.
So ladies, remember, keep the secret, and the next time a man asks you what's the matter, just look him in the eye and say, I'm sorry, I can't tell you, because it's a...
Female thing.
Up in the air, under the sea. It's truly amazing all the stuff that he can do so easily. Dragway a bus, on top of a train. He comes up smiling again and again. He's Earl the Amazing Stuntman. He's Earl the Amazing Stuntman. He's Earl the Amazing Stuntman. He's our man.
Ladies and gentlemen, good morning, Earl. How are you this morning?
Party God.
Earl, the amazing stuntman in the studio this morning, folks. 1 hour ago, we asked you on Free For All Friday to call in and tell us what kind of stunt you would like to have Earl do.
Yeah.
Well, a fella called in and said he would like to have him outrun a 30-30 rifle shot. Yes, Earl, you feel up for that this morning?
Sure.
All right. I have brought in the studio this morning our own outdoorsman, Mr. Billy Wiggins. Come on, Billy. Come on over here.
Dick.
Billy has brought his rifle in from the back of his truck window.
Thank you, Dick.
And he's going to tell us what type of rifle we'll be using this morning.
Well, folks, this here's the Remington Rangemaster Semi-Automatic Auto-Release Master Clip 3030 with automatic shell ejection and surefire scope sights. It's lightweight, powerful, and easy to use.
All right, thank you.
Go ahead, Earl. Try to outrun this baby.
All right. Thank you very much.
right.
Okay, Earl, I guess we're all ready here. We're going to I guess I would head down the stairs behind you there.
Okay.
And I'll fire the weapon from up above here, okay?
All right.
You just let me know when you're ready.
Okay, just say on your mark, get set, go.
On your mark, get set, go. slow on that one, Earl. Yeah, a little bit slow. Come on back up here to the top of the stairs again, Earl. Yeah. Let's try it one more time. What do you say? We'll give you one more try.
Okay.
Henry, don't you think one more try is all right? Yeah,
I think we should, yeah.
All right. On your mark.
Okay.
Get set. Go.
He missed it by a mile.
Earl, how are you, Earl?
He looks pretty shaken up.
Gee, Earl. How are you, guy?
Now, tragically, Andy left us. When we went to the oldies format, Andy left and went down, I think, back home near Birmingham to work. But unfortunately, he died of a heart attack about 3 or 4 years after that, at 44 years old. But he was a great, talented person, and I really appreciated working with him. Deanna Hurst was on the morning show with us.
Friend of mine, Deanna, who I ran into again out in L.A.
Yeah.
William Morris Agency, still doing acting and voice work.
She was a great singer, and I think we wrote some parody songs that she did, like this one.
Last night I dreamt I was grateful, so sick of who I am, another trend. There's got to be something better. Don't want to bail my husband out of jail again. I want to win more Grammys and make some decent movies, collecting all those royalties. Such a prima donna. Forget the things you've seen, like Playboy magazine. I'm changing personalities to Marilyn Monroe.
Little of that one from Madonna type song there. Yeah.
She is talented.
Yep. So there were good times there on that kind of multi-morning show while we still had that, and had some good progress and good success with that show. You know, towards the end of the 80s, after I'd done the TV show on KSHB and things like that, one of the people that worked at KSHB went to work for the USA Network up in New York City. I stayed in contact with him and actually kind of pitched him on the idea of doing a late-night show of some sort. Spent the next year or so trying to put something together. Never quite got it worked out what we wanted to do, but
like a national version of what you did in Kansas City.
A little bit, yeah. Kind of the all night live kind of feel, those kind of fun kind of things. So one day in the late '80s, got a call after the morning show, and it was Dick Clark's office calling from Los Angeles, and they said, "Hey, we're putting together a TV show, and we heard you did some fun stuff there in Kansas City. Would you send a tape out to us?" And so I did, and it ended up that they had linked up with the USA Network also to produce a show, a late-night show called Camp Midnight.
All right.
And they liked what I did. They called and said, well, it's down to 2 people, you and another guy, and we'll get back with you. And finally got the call, and they said, yeah, we'd like to go with you. So that was my big launch out into the Los Angeles national market on the USA Network.
Wow, well, that's a lot of fun.
Good morning, Kansas City. This is Dick Clark, and we're producing a new television show, Camp Midnight. It's sort of a new offbeat television variety show premiering at 11 o'clock this Friday night on the USA Network, and it's hosted by Kansas City's own Dick Wilson. Yeah, Dick Wilson. But don't let that scare you off.
Now, did you have to stay out there and produce? I mean, were you...
You know, they had a full staff out there in Los Angeles at Dick Clark's office there in Burbank on Olive Street across from the NBC buildings where his office was. And what I would do is it was my job to prep all the guest interview stuff. We'd have about 3 or 4 guests on per show. And so I would fly out. I'd get off the radio on Friday mornings, catch a plane to Los Angeles. And Friday afternoon, we'd show up at Dick Clark's office out in Burbank, and we'd start rehearsing. The crew of about 7 or 8 people were working through the week in the office, developing the show out there, writers and things like that. Tim Conway Jr.'s was there. Tim Conway's son was a part of the staff, and some other great people.
He was on the air in L.A. when I was out there.
He went to radio after our stuff. Yeah, he sure did, yeah. But he was a fun guy. So I would show up out there. We'd start rehearsing the show, and then on Saturdays, we would go over to Van Nuys, a little place on Van Nuys, and I think they also shot Casey Kasem's American Top 40 show in that studio. But anyway, we'd set up our studio, and we would shoot 2 90-minute TV shows on Saturday night. That was quite a haul.
Wow.
They'd bring an audience of about 50 people in. We would shoot our first 90-minute show. Then we would let that audience go and have a little dinner, and then bring another 50, 60 people in and shoot the second 90-minute show.
And now, here's your host, Dick Wilson.
Hey, Scooter. Wow. I'll go ahead and look. Yeah, thank you. I'll go ahead and look way up here like we've got a big audience back here someplace, all right? Welcome to another freaking Friday night of fun here on the USA Network. Can we say freaking on TV? I guess, yeah. Okay. But let's all say it together. On the count of 3, just give me a freaking. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
So there was a total about 8 different guests that I needed to research for interviewing on the show.
Well, you were working hard.
There's a lot of comedy stuff going on the show, too, and things like that. I've got all the masters of the show on 3/4-inch tape. I've got to get those dubbed to digital so I can maybe get that show back out and show people, because it was a fun type deal.
Remember any of those guests that you had a lot of fun with?
I do. The first guest was John Stamos.
Please say hello to a guy who's the star of Full House, and he's also part-time drummer for the Beach Boys, John Stamos. John! Good to see you, John.
Nice, Dick.
Well, thank you, John.
You have that
Thanks
girl's number out on the street, by the way?
Yeah.
And you got that shirt
really?
on.
This is
what is that? It's kind of a Tom Selleck, Barry Manilow kind of.
It's a. I've never seen a. Yeah, it's a.
You're in L.A., man. You got to look cool. You got to be. You know what I'm saying?
Would I be able to maybe trouble you for some information on this a
well,
little
we'll
later?
get to that later, yeah.
Okay, all right.
This is nice, by the way. You know, congratulations.
Well,
nice
thank
talk
you very
show.
much.
You got nice
Thanks.
people here. You got a nice set.
And we had Michael Reagan on, President's son.
Oh, sure.
Right before Reagan went out of office.
And then he went into radio.
Yeah.
He had a big, long radio career.
A lot of B-level stars. Adrian Barbeau.
Oh, sure.
Timothy Leary was on.
Yeah.
That was an interesting one. We had a good Timothy
guy.
Timothy Leary guy. The lady who played Catwoman, I can't remember her name.
Julie Newmar.
Julie Newmar was on.
Now, Julie's a different kind of gal, isn't
she really is. I noticed that right off the bat when she came into the room. Yes.
I had some conversations with her out in L.A.
Linda Blair was on one night, the Exorcist star. We had a skit where she played my girlfriend.
Oh, that's great.
Kind of did some of her stuff again.
Wanted to stop by and say thank you so much. I had such a really swell time on your show tonight.
Anytime, Linda.
Well, great. I'm having a little dinner party at my beach house this weekend, and I was wondering if you'd like to come on over.
Sure. Love to.
Well, great. I look forward to seeing you there. And I love things that sound dirty and really are.
Hey, Dick, you got a date with Linda Blair.
Yeah, Scooter, I guess I sure do. Make those phone calls make a difference. Well, our next guest here on Camp Midnight has been nominated as Best Female Club Stand-Up by the American Comedy Awards and can be seen from time to time on The Tonight Show. So please welcome Ellen DeGeneres.
Thank you very much. It's nice to be here. Camp Midnight. Reminds me of camp a little bit, doesn't it? People are being mean to me. I have mosquitoes in my dressing room. little bit like camp. I like camp. I have very, very vivid memories of being at camp. I remember one time I was walking around in the woods by myself because the counselors used to put me there a lot. And I was walking around in the woods, and I looked down about 10 feet away from where I was standing. There was a little family of deer. Just right there, little mother, father, 2 little baby deer. I thought, oh, I wish I had a gun. Right there. Could have gotten all of them. And left the gun in the cabin. But actually, I think that is very wrong to do that. This is the point I'm trying to make. Stay with me. I think that the people who shoot deer and then they put their heads on their walls of their living rooms, this is just, you know, and they're proud of this. You know, it has a last expression before being killed on your wall that... This guy's proud of it, just... Shot it. Killed it. It was alive. You know, I could see if it was something that you hated. You know, something you're just so proud that you killed, like a burglar. You know, I think this makes sense. The guy's going to break into your home, steal your stereo, all of your canned goods, just have his last expression before you shot him. Shot him. Killed him. He was coming in. Yeah. And I ask people why they have the deer heads on their walls. They always say it's because it's such a beautiful animal. There you go. I think my mother's attractive, but I have photographs of her. Wasn't Mom pretty? Oh, she had great legs, too. They're in the next room. Come on. The deer heads I feel sorry for the most, I think, really, are the deer heads you see on the walls of bars or restaurants. They have the silly party hats on them, silly sunglasses, streamers around their necks. These are the ones I feel sorry for. I mean, obviously, they were at a party, having a good time. They're in there dancing, enjoying themselves. Hey, who invited the guy in the orange vest? Crashing a deer party. It's just wrong. I like animals, so I think it's wrong to do things like that. I was raised around animals. My family, we had the family business, we had a petting zoo. And actually, we had 2 parts. We had a petting zoo and then a heavy petting zoo, people who really liked the animals a lot. And they would, it's my job to work there. And they wanted me to follow the family business and go into that. And I said, no, I'm going to be a comedian, so that's, of course, what I'm doing now. I like it. It's a good job. People come up to me after the show and they talk to me and ask me questions. And they always say, Ellen, you know, first of all, you're incredible. But second of all, is your life as a performer, is it that much different than ours, the little people, the nobodies, the scum? And I'll tell you, I think we're all the same. I think we all do the same things, basically. Like, do you ever do this when you're at home alone? You put on an album, one that you know all the words to. You take a hairbrush or a deodorant can or something. You stand in front of the mirror. You pretend like you're, you know, the rock star. And then when the album's over, you pretend like the concert's over and people are screaming and cheering for more. You say, thank you very much. Good night. And then you run out of the living room, down the hall, into the bedroom. You pretend like that's a dressing room. You get there and you have a wine and cheese and fruit tray and champagne and Coke and acid, all just sitting out. And you're smoking and you're drinking and you're eating and you're pretending like you're getting interviewed by the Rolling Stone magazine. Just completely trash your room, you know? Don't you? Me too. We all do the same thing. Don't you hate this? If somebody says they're going to call you, like say they say they'll call you about 7 o'clock. All right, it's 7 o'clock and they haven't called you. Say, okay, I'll fix a drink. So you have a drink. Then you have another. Then you have another. Then you have another. Then now you're drunk. No, it's 5 after 7. They still haven't called. You know? See, we're all alike. Don't you hate Trivial Pursuit? Aren't you glad this game is sort of going out of vogue? I think stupid people hate it the most. I think when you're playing, I hate the game. You're just sitting there waiting for it to be your turn so you can say, I don't know. I don't know, Danny Kaye. I don't know, what? Just guessing anything. I get the question, last time I'm playing, what is the only animal that mates while going 80 miles an hour? Danny Kaye was a bad guess. I know that now. It's the golden eagle. This is how they mate. This is the male and the female both go 3 to 4 miles high. They start going 80 miles an hour, and then they connect. And then they start dropping. They don't stop dropping till the act is completed, so it's not uncommon that they both fall all the way to the ground, hit the ground, both of them die. That's how committed they are to that. I thought, don't we feel like wimps for stopping to answer the phone? I mean, I don't know about you, but if I'm one of these two birds, you're getting close to the ground, I would seriously consider faking it. Okay, woo! Okay. Thanks very much. I'm going to go over here.
Ellen DeGeneres. Woo! All right. How you doing?
I'm fine. How are you?
Well, I'm doing okay. Congratulations on the new duet role in the show Duet.
Well, thanks very much. Yeah. It hasn't started airing yet. Well, I think it has started airing now.
Yeah. What kind of character are you playing in that?
Kind of me, kind of a receptionist. They saw my stand-up, and the producers kind of developed the role around me. It's great. It's, you know, it's... You're always wanting to get your own show, like Roseanne has her own show, and I was really trying to get my own show. That's the ideal situation, but nothing quite gelled. I was trying to get, like, I was looking at formulas that worked and trying to adapt it. Like here's one of my ideas. The Flying Nun was a very successful show, and okay, I wouldn't be a nun, but I would be fairly successful and fairly religious, and I could jump really high. You know, yeah, and that didn't turn out so well, and. I just couldn't come up, and it's all also in the name. I think that's really important. When you have a show, you have to have the right name. Like a couple of them that I just missed on, like one of them was Beauty and the Guy That Lived in the Sewer. And just missed. Same with 226, you know, and 20 Jump Street. But,
just a little off there, huh?
Yeah, just missed
just
on those. So.
You play Vegas very often?
Yeah, I do. It's a weird thing to play Vegas because the crowds are different, number one, and you just get sucked into gambling, which is, do you gamble when you go there?
I've done the slot machines once. You know, I'm a little afraid of it. How about you?
Yeah, and that takes not too much skill. The slot machines is just, I mean, you know, I ended up, the last time I was there, I played blackjack, and I won really, really big, but that was, I found a new blackjack dealer. He didn't really know what he was doing yet, so he'd let you get by with 22, 23, you know, and, yeah, he thought the higher the better, and at one point I had like 17 cards on the table. I think I had 73. They just barely beat me at 71. So,
Ellen, would you do me a favor? See this phone right here?
Yeah.
You know what we're doing? We're doing the Camp Midnight phone call chain.
Yeah.
I want you to call somebody, tell them to put on USA Network and call Camp Midnight. Who are you going to call? Somebody on a matchbook
this
here.
Is they told me about this backstage. This is going to be hilarious.
Yeah? Okay.
My junior high science teacher, Mr. Gerber, I haven't spoken to him since junior high.
Okay.
And
we're dialing up Mr. Gerber now.
He had the greatest sense of humor, and I haven't...
Okay. Remember, folks, this is the Camp Midnight chain phone call, just like the chain letters. We figure it's the best way at all to get that extra promotion that we really
He's going to be sleeping, but he has a great sense of humor, and I think he knows what I'm doing now, because in New Orleans they...
Hello?
Mr. Gerber?
Yes.
Hi, this is Ellen DeGeneres. Do you remember me? I was in your class in junior high about 15 years ago.
In school?
Yes, in school. Yes.
Well, yes, I taught school.
Well, no, I know, but I was in your class, though. This is Ellen DeGeneres. I was one of your students.
I was half asleep. You'll have to forgive me if I don't.
Well, let me explain to what's happening. You're on the air right now. I'm sorry I'm calling you this late, but I'm a comedian. You know that I'm doing comedy and I'm acting and stuff like that?
And the name one more time, excuse me.
Ellen DeGeneres.
Asking just to tune on USA Network.
Well, you know, as a matter, and you were here at school in New Orleans.
Right. Yeah. Listen, Mr. Gerber, we don't have a lot of time, but I'm just calling to ask you to please watch Camp Midnight, because I'm on the show, and the show really needs more people to watch, and I just thought that you could see me. I'm sure you've been thinking about me a lot, and also you could watch a show.
Okay. You say you were in my class.
We've got to go.
Yeah, I've got to go, Mr. Gerber, but yeah, I'll call you another time to remind you who I am.
Well, it's been lovely talking to you again.
Okay.
All right, well.
Okay, Helen, see you.
Ellen!
Bye, Mr. Gerber. There we go. Ellen, would you sign and bite a cup for us?
Yeah, I would love to.
All right, Ellen DeGeneres on Camp Midnight and her science teacher. My next guest was born too late for vaudeville, but he's logged as many miles as any vaudevillian has in a comedy circuit. He's played from San Francisco to London and everywhere in between. Let's get together now and welcome funny man Tom Kenny. Tom, what up?
Yeah. How you doing, man? Cheers. All right, this is happening. I know these are throwing you off. Don't worry, I do have to wear glasses. You probably figured that out. Nobody wears 8 pounds of plastic on their face for no apparent reason. Not like I walked into Sears and took these off a shelf. Say, these will get me laid. Not bad. Watch out, girls. Biff Hunkley is now on the loose. Engineer of the Nookie train. Choo-choo. Next stop, Nirvana. I do have really bad vision. I can burn creatures on other planets if I hold these up to the sun just right. I went in for contact lenses once in my life. It was the first time I realized how bad my vision really was, man. A guy comes out of his office, Tom, your contacts are ready, but they're both this big. Is that a problem for you? There you go. A little bit of saline solution, that'll feel like part of your eye, really. I feel like Colonel Klink from Hogan's Heroes right now. Don't ask me why. Colonel Hogan, 13 days in the cooler, Hogan. I think of all the Nazi situation comedies involving the Holocaust, Hogan's Heroes is probably the finest one, and I'm going out on a limb saying that. But, wow, I thought this was going to be kind of weird, but I like it. I feel right at home here. I think as I look around this stage, and it reminds me of every project that my dad never quite got around to finishing at our house. And that's what it looks like. This is our house. Looks like this all the time. My dad was Johnny Project Head, always starting things and never finishing them. I think I'll turn the basement into a rumpus room for the kids. Oh, the hell with it. I'm not good with my hands. Why do I even try? Okay, Dad. So let's see. I grew up Catholic. I do still like the Pope. I think the Pope has the coolest car in the world. That is like happening wheels, man. And they call it the Pope-mobile. That's even better. Quick, Robin, to the Pope-mobile. Got to slide down the Pope pole into the Pope cave. Get in the Pope-mobile. Alfred, tidy up the Pope cave. The Cardinals are coming over. The Pope-mobile is happening. Isn't that a Tupperware phone booth on wheels that he cruises around in? Seals in the holiness. It's Poperware. I love that thing. I don't know, for some perverse reason, every time I see the Pope driving around on that thing in the news, I always want to see lottery balls blowing around inside there with him, don't you? Maybe some popcorn. Yeah. Oh, this is pretty darn unbelievable. I don't watch a lot of TV, unlike most comics. I never really watched Geraldo until I heard that he got hit in the face with a chair. Now I tune in every day just in case it happens again. You know, I want to be there. I'm bummed out I missed it the first time. I tuned in the next day. Geraldo had the gall to act. He acted indignant about what had happened on the show the day before. That cracked me up. Came out with that entire roll of sympathy tape wrapped around his head. You know, I'd like to apologize to my viewers. Things got out of control, and I don't know how it happened. Don't know how it happened. It's like, Geraldo, I don't want to be rude, but you had moron white supremacists and black activists on the same program. Gene, who knew there'd be trouble at that soiree? I don't get it. Those Nazi skinheads are usually such amiable sorts. Open-minded, willing to discuss things. It's crazy. Oh, we are. It truly is the field of dreams, isn't it? I hate those kind of movies that, like, try to convince us that baseball is beautiful and poetic. I used to know a guy like that. Tom, you know, you make fun of it, but when baseball's being played right, it's like a ballet. When everything's going right, it's like watching a beautiful ballet. I've never seen Mikhail Baryshnikov do this before he goes into Swan Lake. And never happened. Uh-oh, time for that tough pirouette. Better scratch my groin. Okay, there we go. My favorite baseball story of all time still holds the record is when Doc Ellis used to pitch for the Pittsburgh Pirates. Came out on 60 Minutes and admitted that in 1973 he pitched a no-hitter while tripping on acid. That's pretty amazing. You know, a little bit easier to do when you're getting advice from your own glove, I know. Pitch a slider this time, Doc. Go for the slider. It's still a pretty amazing thing. I wonder if they interviewed him in the game, after, in the dressing room after the game. It had to be pretty amazing. Love to have that on tape. So, Doc, what goes through your mind during a no-hitter? Well, if I can just get the ball past the guy with the wings and a lizard head, I'll be okay. Okay, Doc, you're scaring the hell out of me. I got to go. It'd be a great thing to have on tape. You get a VCR, suddenly you'll tape anything. You'll tape movies that you would never pay a quarter to see when they were in the theaters. I find that frightening. I used to have great taste in movies. You know, start out great. I go into the video store and things are cool. You know, hi, you got Amadeus, you got Out of Africa, you got The Killing Fields. No, they're not in. Ooh, Big Butt Biker Mom is on crack, part 13. I'll take this. Oh, this will be great. Got the Geraldo chair bashing on tape. We got to see this. Geraldo, one thing that he did do, he made America pit bull conscious. He broke the whole pit bull thing way back then, didn't he? I never heard of a pit bull till everybody was talking about Geraldo. He had the best Pitbull show ever, man. He had 3 people on there all paneling, saying that he went down the line and made them talk about their Pitbull story. Did you see that? Made them go into graphic detail about their Pitbull attack. And one guy actually said that he was walking down the street to work. Suddenly, from out of nowhere, a raging mad Pitbull just launched itself at his groin and just hung there. I know that can ruin your whole day if you're a guy, can't it? Yeah, what a way to start the day. Oh, great! Oh, listen, I'm already late for work, and now look! Oh, boy, another red-letter day for Earl Hoopley. Damn it! You guys have been a lot of fun. I think I'll end on a canine penis joke. Thank you very much.
Microphone.
Wow. Oh, I do.
Yeah, put that baby on there. Yeah, yeah, just plug in there. Plug in, Tom.
I don't know if I can do this. I need Bob Vila to help me out with this. Okay, this old microphone.
Yeah, work that on there.
Well, Bob Vila would have a ball in this place, I
Wouldn't
think.
he? Yeah.
He would. It's sweeps week, even for PBS. So I saw Bob Vila's big season-ending cliffhanger. It was unbelievable. Oh no, too much primer on the table. It continued next week. Oh boy.
I'm glad to see you're feeling okay, because I know you had a little bit of an incident coming over here.
I did. You know, I almost didn't make it, man. I flew in. I flew in from San Francisco, and I was attacked in the airport bathroom by skinheads.
Oh.
And you know, people don't believe me, but I did bring the photo. But they seem to be good skinheads. They had the right idea. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
I think they're lightening up. You know, they're rethinking their ideas.
Seems to be a little bit of change in the feel, I think.
Yeah, people think I drew it on myself, but no way. You know. And Morton, if you are watching, next time you do that, use a straight edge. It was a little crooked. All right? Just want to tell you.
Well, hey, how's things going in the career? How you doing?
It's going great, man. I mean, just things are happening so fast. I've got a sitcom pilot that's going to know, ABC. Hopefully they'll pick it up, knock on wood.
Got a name yet? What do you look for?
It's called A Bird in the Hand. I've got, I know, sounds stupid, and it is. And I've got a featured part in the upcoming Batman movie from Warner Brothers.
Oh, yeah. What are you doing?
Most importantly, my lovely wife, Denise, gave birth to a 7-pound baby boy just 3 days ago.
Well, I'll be done. Yeah. Remarkable.
Dick,
yeah.
none of that actually happened. I
Really?
just made it up. None of that is happening.
For a talk show, though, it sounds good.
I don't even have a wife named Denise.
Really? Is this for...
But I was just BSing you, and I did. But I will be appearing at Smokey's Chuckle House in the Midwest next week, so things are going darn good. Boy, I really got you by the short hair.
You had me there. I thought we really had a guest on the show.
What a zany
here,
jokester I am, huh?
Yeah. What are you ever off? You're on all the time. What are you doing when you slow down in your spare time?
I never sleep. I hear it's very nice. I hear it's a really cool thing. Oh boy. So this is what do you think? Do you believe it?
I like this. I think you should try it all the time.
Stranger things have happened, man. The Midget Man missile, man, our new missile system, 70 seconds after launch, blew up. And then the Air Force spokesman came on the air and called it a qualified success. That's like planning a vacation to Europe and being really happy if you make it out of the driveway. You know, woo! All right, cool.
Tom, I tell you what, I don't. Can you sign your name? Are you okay? You okay? Sign the cup here for us?
Yeah. Do I get to have to? Can I take a bite out of Tawny Katane's
Why don't you just kiss that part where she had her lip on?
Oh yeah, swap and spit with a heavy metal star's wife. That's real safe.
There you go. Careful now. Yeah. It's Tom Kenny on Camp Midnight. There you go, Tom. Sign her up there, man.
Thanks.
All right, here he is. We'll be back in just a moment with more. We had a one-man band. Scooter Peach played all the keyboards. He was our one-man band. The whole premise of the show was that we were a very underfunded show.
It sounds like Fernwood Tonight.
A little bit like that. We were in the back of all the sets. So our set was the back of a set because we were like in the back hallway doing our show. That was the feel of the whole thing. Dick Clark was producing this, so he had some fun with that. We had a rough wood desk with tape hanging off the side of it, you know, that the gaffers would use. And we had a coffee pot with donuts in the back, and people could get up out of the audience and come get coffee and donuts while we were in the middle of an interview. But anyway, it was a fun premise. Scooter was the one-man band. Scooter went on to do a lot of musical composition stuff for television and movies, and he's now a playwright and has some plays that have played around New York and things like that.
No kidding.
So it was a fun time. Camp Midnight. Look it up someday.
while out there, I got to know Dick Clark pretty good, and
Really?
interesting guy. In that office out there, they were producing game shows and the American Music Awards and things like that, and they would just bring the crew and cast in as needed throughout the year and then let them go throughout the year off and on. So a lot of production going on. We had the opportunity late in our run out there. Camp Midnight ran for about 24 episodes. We went like 24 to 26 weeks, I think, before USA cut the cord on it, but did pretty good. Near the end, Dick Clark brought us all out to his Malibu mansion on the beach at Malibu. He's got a big octagon-shaped house out there, or had, for a nice dinner out there with him. So that
Let
was
you
a
scrub
good
the
evening.
bricks or something.
We had to scrub to get our way in. No, he was showing us his original John Lennon lithographs down the hallway and things like that. And I always like to tell people, yes, I went to the bathroom in Dick Clark's house. It's my claim to fame.
That's nice. That's nice. I hope you showed some decorum with the way you behaved at Dick Clark's house.
I tried to do that. Yeah, I did my best. But I remember a nice scene at the end of the party. I was the last one to leave, and he and I walking up the driveway back up to his car that was going to take me back to the hotel. I always kind of felt good about our relationships when one time he referred to me as his adopted son. So
well, that's great. You kind of were Kansas City's Dick Clark, and kind of the cool head. Into a lot of things. It sounds like you were a Dick Clark style utility player.
Well, kind of like,
they threw everything. They threw everything at you.
The stunt Dick Clark, yes. But I am Dick Wilson, and I have had to clear this a time or two. I am not Mr. Whipple of the Charmin toilet paper fame.
Well,
his name is Dick Wilson also.
Oh,
or
that's
was.
right.
Yes,
That's right.
He was in town, and we interviewed him on All Night Live one time.
Really?
And I am the proud owner of a mint condition, still plastic wrapped 4-pack of Charmin tissue, autographed by Mr. Whipple to Dick Wilson.
Man, that is something. I hope you never get in a jam and have to tear that up and use it.
Is there any reason to even continue this interview on from there?
So what was your time like in L.A.? You'd get out there at an odd hour and you'd work hard, and how'd they treat you? Where'd they put you up?
Well, it's pretty good. I got picked up at the airport in Dick Clark's cars that he had, his big, the big black Lincoln things.
Nice.
And went to Universal and stayed in the big black hotel on Universal Studios.
Oh, wow.
Up on the top floor, they put me up in the penthouse.
No kidding.
And so it was just little me with all that space up there and one bedroom and a big, massive front room area. And so I ended up, usually Saturday night when we'd finish taping, invite the entire crew up to the hotel room for a little post-party.
Wow.
At
so
Universal.
Couldn't let that room go to waste.
No use just sleeping in the bedroom when all that space is there to be used. So
yeah, I could see you walking around, Universal Studio lot, making balloon animals or something, trying to
could have been doing that.
Attract people up.
Could have been doing that
to a party.
Yeah. Hey, come on up.
I got a big room.
So I'd go out every other weekend. But the interesting thing about all these guests was that this was before internet time.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to go down to the library and get microfilm stuff out and zip through magazines around the country and try to find background on these celebrities that I was interviewing. That was the situation at the time as far as doing investigative
cell phone
stuff.
Time.
Yeah, it really was, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep.
So, people forget how difficult that was.
Exactly, yeah. While I was out in Los Angeles, a person at the Dick Clark office introduced me to an agent out there. So went by and took some video stuff by that we had done on All Night Live, and he was impressed, so signed on with them. And before long, I was going down to Disney Studios to audition for a game show.
Oh, really?
As a game show host. Mark Batterman Productions, was the producer on this. He'd worked with The Gong Show and a lot of other things, and
Chuck Barris.
He was, checking people through, and I think I was the last guy to audition in the day, ended up getting that job.
Wow.
And so later in that year, came back out and kind of went to Game Show School 101 with Mark Batterman. We were on the back lot of Disney in one of the trailers. I think right next to Carol Burnett was in a trailer next to us or something, doing something for a special. So I'd show up out there for the week. I did some broadcasting back to Kansas City during that time at the KISS studios. But during the day, I'd spend it there for about a week or so, kind of learning the game show rant, what you are and what you had to do, and you're kind of like the host and the umpire and the cheerleader and the whole thing wrapped up in a game show host. So
that's a fun gig, isn't it?
It is. You know, it really was.
Once you get the hang of the game and you understand what you're doing, you can.
Exactly.
It's so easy.
20 Questions was the name of the game show. We shot a big pilot out at the TV studios out in Los Angeles. I had 2 celebrity people on. Marky Post. Do you remember that name?
Sure. No, she was
one
on
of them.
Night Court, right?
She was, yeah. Huh? The guy who was the celebrity guy was Fred Willard, and
he's great.
He's been in so many great things out there. But we did the whole 20-question show, and away we went. Had our pilot in our pocket, and the next step was for somebody to pick it up. So NBC actually showed interest in it, and they decided to test it around the country and see what people thought of it. They ended up not knowing I was from Kansas City. They ended up testing it here in Kansas City.
No kidding.
Matter of fact, the wife of the radio station, Don Trout's wife, was one of the people called in to test it. And so they were surprised when they found out that they were testing it in a market where I was already known anyway. So I don't know if that had anything to do with it, but that was my big deal, my big game show deal that almost made it.
That Boulevard of Broken Dreams strikes again.
I know we heard a lot about it on your podcast also. My relationship with Mark Batterman continued on. He was a good friend. He is a good friend, and he and his wife Nancy, they were my couch place when I went to Los Angeles, like you talked about, with bigger staff and things. So Mark would call every now and then when he had another game show he was producing. It would have me fly out and do the run-through for the networks. You know, we'd get into a convention area and set it all up and run it through for the network big wigs and see what they thought about the game show idea. It was interesting because one of the times we did that, we were out on the back lot of Warner Brothers in one of the offices there. Here it was Sunday afternoon, had a little break, so I took a walk around by myself on the back lot and walked down the western streets and looked around there. Hadn't seen that kind of thing.
Oh, yeah. So you were on the main lot over in Burbank.
The main lot in Burbank, yeah. Took a little turn around the thing, went through by some trees, and a little clearing opened up, and there was the front of the Waltons' house.
Oh, yeah.
Just the front, of course. They don't build anything else.
No.
So
they were downtown streetscapes and everything there.
Walked around in back of the house, climbed up on the scaffolding, and hollered out of John Boy's window. It's just those memories that make L.A. worthwhile.
You know, on that lot, I had a lot of fun on that lot, too. The F Troop was shot there.
Oh, yeah, sure.
So there were real westerns shot in that western scape there.
Yes.
And then there were all these crazy comedies.
Oh, yeah, sure.
And like I said, I would run into a lot of these retired guys from these sitcoms. And it was fun to look around and see the tower where Dobbs
there you go.
fell. And, love that place.
New York Street, city streets. In the early 90s, got into working with VPR Productions here in town, and Curtis Pickering and the gang out there.
Oh, yeah.
And doing a lot of pharmaceutical shows. That was back in the big era of pharmaceutical times when there was a lot of money spent on marketing days and bringing their clientele and not their clientele, but bringing their salespeople in for national meetings and those kind of things. So I got a call from Curtis one time and ended up emceeing big marketing day launch parties in Los Angeles. Over a 2-week period, we went to Los Angeles, Atlanta, and Boston with the different regions of salespeople. And we did the stage shows, which was kind of like a Letterman TV show.
Live from the beautiful Weston Peachtree in downtown Atlanta, the program that everyone's been waiting for. It's Mary and Merrill Dow Morton.
Well, thank you. Good morning, Mary and Merrill Dow.
I'd be the Letterman character. We had a band playing. We'd bring, instead of the guys talking behind a podium on stage, they came out as guests of the talk show, and we presented their message that way. And ended up doing that format through a lot of different companies and a lot of different times through the 90s.
Man, if you can keep that show moving, talking about sinus medicine and things.
You know, you have to, yes.
You are one talented guy, I'll tell you.
You know, but we had comedy videos about Nylandrin and about Nicoderm patches and parody songs with the marketing people coming in on motorcycles. It was quite a production.
That's tickling my funny bone right now, just hearing about it. I love medication.
When sharing a hotel room, your stay will be more enjoyable if only you can refrain from fighting over the complimentary pillow chocolates. Enjoy, don't destroy. A message from the Pillow Chocolate Council of America.
Well, now, all through this career, you also were kind of writing and producing and even editing. I remember going in there and seeing you very adroitly taking the razor blade and the reel-to-reel tapes and just cutting. A few people can believe this, actually, pre-digital age. You would take reel-to-reels and take a razor blade and cut them apart and tape them together.
Exactly.
And that became the edit.
That's
and
how
you
the
got
edit
really
was.
good at this. Like, you could have worked an assembly line in China.
I could have, yes. It was just like film editors editing, but it was just audio tape is what it was.
Yeah,
so.
It was fantastic. And you were writing material and producing stuff. So you're creating a lot of content still. And
still doing it. Actually, floated the idea of a radio format for the 55-plus people out called Rewind Radio, which would be just 60s and 70s music. None of that 80s and 90s and things that the people from that period don't want to hear.
Who wants that newfangled stuff?
Well,
anyway?
it's an ideal format
it's a great idea.
It's an ideal format for an AM station that's dying, playing ESPN or just taking the news programs. And they want to do something a little different. You know, there's a lot of AM stations out there holding a 0.1 share and could do maybe a 2 share or so with the 55-plus crowd, and there's so many different AARP and things like that to use for advertising out there.
That makes a lot of sense. I think that's really good targeting because that crowd still has that AM dial going. I'm sure they're pretty tired of hearing the Chiefs game rehashed for the 47th time.
There you go. Yes. Or the same news story told different ways by different talking heads throughout the day. So
that's right.
Yeah. So, but we'll see what happens on that. We've thrown that out a little bit. We'll see if anybody takes the bait on that one. So.
We know what you really want. The best songs, the best times. Rewind 850. The Beatles, Elton John, The Supremes, Three Dog Night. All of your favorites on one station. Rewind 850. The pros said that it couldn't be done, but we didn't listen, so now you can. The best songs, the best times. Rewind 850.
So doing all those kind of things, and the rest of the day in the morning, especially like you, get up early and do those voiceover auditions around the country while your voice is still sounding deep and professional before the end of the day and the cigars kick in. So
before all that whiskey and that's me.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's very satisfying to do that kind of stuff from home now around the country. So,
in the heart of Damascus and neighboring the most effective and attractive cultural, artistic, and lively locations in the capital, and along one of the main roads, sits our project. Deep sea fishing, Turks and Caicos, is an experience not to be missed. Is it the scream of the reel, the bend of the rod, and the flash of silver deep below? Gotham had experienced a total blackout, the result of a massive electrical storm. Not just buildings and streetlights. Anything electrical was affected, including vehicles. Joker had weaponized the fireworks into a chemical attack. I only had enough antitoxin to protect me, and only seconds to apply it. In my hands was a monster.
Doing a lot of that things too.
Yeah, that's an industry that's changed a lot. you could be doing campaigns in other cities.
Well, I've done some
hearing.
political spots back east. I've played the part of Santa in Nashville, Tennessee on some radio commercials. I'm on a bus tour out in Washington talking about the Centralia Massacre.
And since this audio was recorded, I'm now playing, as you just heard, Batman on a YouTube action comic book. If the disarm code is written in here, it will take too long to locate it. In the Batcave, my computer analysis software would be able to come up with an algorithm, fingerprint recognition, or isolate paper fibers and pen impressions to deduce it. No such luck here. But I have figured out one thing. This is Joker's last will and testament, a book of admission. A book of death. Page after page of handwritten names. It takes me a minute to realize their significance. It's a record of every person that he's ever killed.
Congrats, Batsy! My senses indicate you found my gift to you. Welcome to Joker's Book Club, although I don't think you'll make it to our next meeting. But I won't bore you with the details, and I wouldn't blame you if you wanted to skip to the last page. It's a doozy. That's right. You're my very last victim.
And so there's a lot of wild open things to be doing.
Hold it right there, mister. And if you're ever in Bratislava, Slovakia, you can hear me talking about the city as an old character in the Uber City Tour program. Hello, Dobra Den. My name is Shonenazi, and of course, you know me. What? You're not from Bratislava? Aha! Then you might not know me. Yet. I was one of the icons of the city, always wandering around the city center, greeting people passing by in the most polite and enchanting way. I always dressed up like a real gentleman, in tailcoat and top hat, even when coming from a rather poor background and not having a job myself.
You know, in the voiceover world, if you can be Sam Elliott or Morgan Freeman, you can make $1 million.
That's right.
Yes.
Whatever you do, wherever you go, Edwards takes you there. More brands, more choices. All in one massive low-overhead location that says you're going to save money. Whatever you drive, for work, family, fun. It pays to cross the bridge to Edwards.
Well, through it all, of course, as I said, I got married in '74 and still married to my first wife, Patty.
And Patty and you have a family of, you started kind of your own little circus family now.
Well, we
Everybody's
did.
in
We have
entertainment.
a lot of talented kids. 1978, we had Nicole, my oldest. She's a graphics artist person, lives up in Liberty with her husband, Craig. He works at Cerner. We've got the two grandkids close by, Brett and Brenna. Then along in 1983 came Miranda, our middle child, and she's an actress up in New York City and works with Clutch Productions, an organization she and some other ladies have developed to create and bring female writers and things to the stage and give them opportunities to develop plays and those kind of things. She also works for Treehouse Shakers, which is a children's performing kind of group and dance group that has plays for 0 to 19-year-olds that they filtered through. My son, Spencer, came along in 1992. He went to college up in New York City. He's living up there also in Astoria and also works for Treehouse Shakers. You can look them up on the internet and kind of see the good things they're doing and got a good family going.
Well, Dick, it's been great finally getting to know the real Dick Wilson after sitting across from the booth with you and doing all these comedy things and the podcast. I had no idea how broad and deep your show business career ran.
Well, thank you very much. And And I'm sure at this point in the podcast, it's just you and me listening.
Well,
so,
you know what?
But
it's
at least
nice to reminisce.
The world will know.
That's
a couple
right.
of guys sitting around reminiscing. Yeah. Can you sing us out of this?
Sure, I'll give it a shot. You might love it, you might hate it. It's my favorite freaking show.
Thank you. I have to tell you something right away.
What's that?
I am so happy to know you're still a dick.
Yes, yes.
So wonderful.
Yes, you know, it was questionable there for a moment.
But
yes,
it's wonderful news.
It's good, and you know, I've got my health. I'm a dick. What more can I ask for?
Right.
Huh?
That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
That's right.